Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Take Tennis. My name is Jack, and I'm here with
Liam McMahon.
And today we're doing the first episode in our next series where we're going to go through a bunch of different countries that are very prominent in the tennis world, talking about the players who are next up in the world to make their mark on the game of tennis. So, Liam, how are you doing today?
I am doing, like you always say, tremendous.
Yes, absolutely. Well, let's not waste any time with the gibber jabber. Let's get right into the video. Starting off, we have Frances Tiafoe, 25 years old. He's been on tour for a little while. He's proven his mettle. He has $9.3 million in career winnings. He has 3 career titles, and he's got a 165 and 154 win-loss record to show for it. So, Liam, what do you think of Frances?
I think he is a player with so many talents. Now, the thing is, I've seen him play Zverev, and I've seen him play all these great players. If you let him get a rhythm, it's when he's extremely dangerous. Now, as in the future of American tennis, I think he'll be a type of player to win a few Masters, maybe even get a Grand Slam. Okay, maybe. But he won't be the future of America. There's other players on this list which you're going to mention who are not far, but have higher possibilities of making that mark. His parents were Haitian, and worked at a tennis court. Now, he lived in a community where black tennis players did not play tennis. Now, I find this incredibly unique because his parents working at a tennis club, he was allowed to play tennis there, and he worked incredibly hard and managed to be one of the few players who come from nothing to become a success story, almost beating Alcaraz in 5 sets at the US Open. So, yeah, he has the game to do what he wants to do. But really what's going to struggle right now is that there's so many other players that have that game too. But can he achieve stuff? Definitely can. Just don't see him surpassing that 1 Grand Slam, maybe 2 or 3 Masters level.
Yeah,
And
he doesn't
maybe
have the right. He doesn't have the oomph factor to surpass and break through that threshold of
he doesn't have that
good
strength.
all-time player to all-time legend.
You see Jannik Sinner and you think, oh my god, he's scary. You see Alcaraz, oh my god, I don't want to play. You see Frances Tiafoe, my bro, good playing.
Let's go, man.
How you been?
We're gonna have some good jokes throughout the match, right? Like that's what we see.
Yeah, and also the thing is, Frances Tiafoe, you don't see that competitiveness, like seriousness inside. He takes it really seriously, by the way. You just don't see it. You don't feel it. He has a killer instinct, obviously. Like he has that. Other players don't. He just doesn't have that seriousness about him. The killer instinct, he wants to kill. He even told Alcaraz when he was playing in the 5th set, I'm leaving my heart on the court. You know, that's said by very few players. He's strong. He wants to win, and more than anybody. But when he goes on the court, everybody, you don't see him walking down the court like he jokes around in points. He just doesn't seem to have that seriousness part of him that you see Korda having. But the difference is the killer instinct that Korda doesn't have. Anyway, let's move to the next player.
This is true. The next player that we have on this list, though, does, I believe, have that killer instinct in him. Ben Shelton, 20 years old, 6'4", big, massive kick serve. Biggest kick serve on the tour. Possibly, when he ages a little more, could have the best serve on tour, rivaling someone like Nick Kyrgios in terms of the level.
Well, no, but okay.
His fastest serve was 147.
Okay, his second serve in Indian Wells against Fritz was good, but it hit a line, for goodness sake. Okay, it was a second serve. And by the way, I see him as a very skilled player, but him, come on, like he's not the future of American tennis.
I 100% agree, but I think he has a very good shot of doing great things in tennis. I think I could see him winning at least 1 or 2 Masters 1000 titles.
But do you honestly see him more rated than players like, for example, Tiafoe? I don't see him play better than Tiafoe, and everybody else is looking at him like, oh, he's so good. He's going to win so much. The kid hasn't won anything.
He's 20. He's 20.
He's 20. Good for him. What age is Alcaraz?
He's 20 as well. I'm not saying he's the next Alcaraz.
I'm not saying, but the point being is Tiafoe's already won stuff. And I know he's a bit older. He's 22.
20. Tiafoe's 25.
Okay, but I don't
That's
see
half a decade.
Ben Shelton is not coming up to that level. His game.
I think he absolutely could.
Okay, what are his weapons other than his serve and his forehand?
Those are his 2 weapons.
Yeah, exactly. His backhand's weak. People are struggling in his backhand, and they're bringing him to net. His net game isn't strong enough yet, from what I've seen. And honestly, I don't know, because he's a weird player, but I see him as a bit cocky too. Like, I don't see him as a personality-wise. I don't know if he can still, and he hasn't won any big matches yet. Also, keep that in note. Okay,
Not
like
yet.
I'm going a bit. I'm getting a bit annoyed
he
here.
has actually. No, I'm not gonna let you get away with that. He beat Casper Ruud in his debut 1000.
Do you really want me to argue this point? You know, Casper Ruud went on, and when he beat Casper Ruud was on a streak of losing 5 matches in a row in first rounds.
So
I think it was already losing like a ton of matches. It's not a compliment to be Casper Ruud when he's not playing well. Casper lost against Jensen Brookley, Alex Mulcan. He lost against a lot of bad players. Do you know? He's like Berrettini.
sure.
He was like Berrettini, but and I'm just, well, not that bad because he's leveled and dropped to that level because he wasn't out for so much time. But Berrettini's actually very skilled. I can't undermine him. But you cannot really say Ben Shelton. I think Ben Shelton's career is going to be this. He's going to win 2 Masters, right? And I'm not. When I see the future of American tennis, I'm taking that statement very seriously. I'm not saying successful. He'll be successful, but as the future of American tennis, I don't see it. I think he'll win 2 Masters, maybe 3 500s, and then he'll cap it there. Have a great career. Maybe him, Sebastian Korda, and a few others can make US win their first Davis Cup. I can see that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
I'm not arguing that he's the future of American tennis. I'm arguing that he can do good things on tour because he's young. We have to get rid of this stigma in tennis that you need to be a top 10 legend by the age of 22. Like, this is not what you need to be great in tennis. Back when, there was players like Borg, Connors, Lendl, like in the 70s, there were players that weren't them winning major titles, right? And it's absolutely still possible to do these days. You've just been completely overrun over the last, whatever it is, 2 decades with the 3 greatest players who have ever touched the court. Like, what are the odds of that? Like, when's the last time you saw the 3 best players in any discipline all play at the exact same time?
My standards for a good player are high, but I don't know if him can even be like an out of this world player. Like, I right now I'm looking at him and everybody's hyping him up and he has so much pressure, and all the matches I see him winning, he isn't winning any finals, and he hasn't got to any finals from what I've seen either.
Well, what he did do is he was the youngest player in ATP history to win 3 ITFs in a row.
Felix Auger-Aliassime was the youngest player to have a ranking at some point. Mm-hmm. So come on, that's not state facts over everything. Like there's a 14-year-old who's also turning up the ranking. Like, he will show himself or he won't. It's as simple as that. And I think that I can make comments about him. You can make comments about him, but really, we haven't seen much of him, have we?
We have not. He's only played 40 matches on tour.
This is his first time at Wimbledon. First time at Wimbledon.
First time. Young.
He barely went outside the US.
He never played. He never played tournaments outside the US until the age of 20.
Yeah, I think this year he is very talented. I will have to. My comments are very strong from what I've seen. I haven't seen enough to say these comments I'm making. We will see more of him, and then we can develop more comments about how we think he will play.
We can absolutely revisit Ben Shelton on a later tape because he's got a lot to develop. A lot.
I can see him as a great doubles player, though, and that's definitely going to be a part of him that I can see him excelling at.
But a player on this list who does not have that much more time to develop is 25-year-old Taylor Fritz. Been around.
I like Taylor.
Time. I do as well. He has a great record. He's 210 and 159. He's won 5 career titles, including that 1 Masters 1000 over Rafa. Granted, Rafa was heavily hampered by injuries, but he was injured too. Taylor going into that as well. They were both injured, so it levels the playing field. That does not detract from the fact that beating Rafael Nadal in Indian Wells in a final, big.
I'm a Rafa fan for life, but Taylor deserved that. He fought for it, and everybody took credit away from him.
Absolutely.
But he's same case as Hubert Hurkacz, saying that he can lose against great players, beat great players. For me, is he a big threat? Always a big threat.
100%. 100%.
He can. For me, like Davis Cup, he's going to be better than Ben Shelton, in my opinion, overall when they end their careers. That's my overall.
I think he'll have a better legacy. Agreed.
I think he'll win maybe one more Masters and a few more 500s. But I think that him, Ben Shelton, Frances Tiafoe, Sebastian Korda in a Davis Cup team with and add John Ram as a doubles player. Scary.
Let's not forget a guy, Tommy Paul.
You hype him up.
He's 27.
He has one ATP title. Okay.
But Tommy Paul's not on this list of next up players. He's 27. He's been on tour. Throw Tommy Paul on that Davis Cup team. Now imagine what you got. Throw Marcos Giron. Throw JJ Wolf on there.
No, you're hyping up players like JJ Wolf, and I love them, and I love Tommy Paul. Tommy Paul is one of the best movers on tour, by the way. He is, but he hasn't, other than the Australian Open, which he went pretty far. I see him as definitely a very capable player of winning 250s, 500s, maybe 1,000, right? But I don't consider him the level of, I would say, probably a bit under Ben Shelton on overall capacity of winning, But he's a great player. Like him, you put him against any top, you put him against, other than Tsitsipas and Zverev when they're playing well, you put him against anyone else on tour, and Djokovic, obviously, and Rafa and Alcaraz. Putting against anyone else, and he beat Alcaraz before, actually. Putting against anyone else, he can have a good fight. But he is not consistent enough with his results for anybody to consider him a major threat in any big events.
No. But. What we must say is that we got off track from Taylor Fritz. We'll revisit him one last time before we get to our number one on this list. Is that Taylor has one glaring weakness in his game. It's his movement. And his mind, but more so his movement.
But tall players always have trouble with their movement. It's his mind.
The next player on this list doesn't.
Oh, come on. The final loss against Herbert. I love him. We're going to have a good chat about him. He's 6'3", a legend.
No, he's not. He's 6'5".
Oh, he's 6'5". He grew 2 inches last time. 2 feet last time I saw him. Okay.
Number one on this list, both of our belief passionately that this is the future of American tennis, Sebastian Korda. Korda, he's 6'5", he's 180, light on his feet. He moves like a cat. He has so much agility, so much speed, and so much effortless power to go along with it. I have a hard time not seeing him as the single future of American tennis.
I see him as the sole reason that people still believe America has a future in tennis, because the way I've seen him play in the last match, almost beat Djokovic in a deadline before Australian Open, had a match point, Djokovic saved it, almost beat Rafa, I think was up a double break in Indian Wells. This is all in the mind. He's lost close matches. Now, you can say he's controlled his emotions. I still feel like his composure in important points needs to be worked on a tiny bit. But he also beat Alcaraz in Monte Carlo last year. Like he has stats which are amazing. Now, he hasn't won anything yet, right? But you give him 1 year, a proper year to develop. Not this Wimbledon, not next year. He'll be a threat at every Grand Slam. Everyone. Even if he doesn't get a title, which I think he will. He'll at least have won 250 by the end of the season, I believe. But he'll be a threat. Because I see he is all-around baseliner, always gets it in, big serve, big volley. Imagine playing against someone who gets every single ball back, can play aggressive, defensive, but also has a big serve and volley. That's a good version of Herbert Hurkacz that actually has a return. Now, no dissing to Hurkacz, who won a Masters title and has a return, just hasn't had it as much this year. And I love the guy too, but the future is him in American tennis.
Absolutely.
Now, his mind and composure, he's controlled his emotions, but he hasn't controlled his composure during big points.
But I think that coming from a family of athletes, both of his sisters are professional golfers on the LPGA Tour. His father was a professional tennis player, and I even believe his mom was an athlete in some respects.
You want to know a crazy fact? His father won the Australian Open, and he won the Junior Australian Open. That's crazy. Look at a coincidence right there. Now
Yeah.
he was born in Czechoslovakia, yet his father was born in Czechoslovakia, yet he chooses to represent the US, which I think is something very, very admirable. And I feel like when you have the choice to represent a smaller country where there's like less pressure and you could go bigger, which is what a lot of athletes do, and take a bigger paycheck usually. And I say bigger paycheck because if you're not the best in the US, they're not paying Tommy Paul millions, okay? As much as I love Tommy Paul, they paid Kei Nishikori millions to represent Japan. So sometimes you have to choose between what you want when you represent and the values you have. And he chose to represent the United States. And he's
Yep.
winning.
Yep.
He's going to win. He's winning some matches consistently. He's going to show some trouble. Recently, he's been on some weird, funky form, winning some matches and then losing against big players in a weird fashion, wasting chances, things like that. But I definitely see him as a big threat. I definitely see him as a guy who nobody would be easily and definitely will be the future of American tennis. If you want to see our next video where we talk about the future of South American tennis, click the subscribe button. That was great, Jack. Would you have anything to add on before we leave?
Absolutely. Not really. No, not at all. I mean, we have a lot more countries to go through. There's going to be a fair few in South America, which we could look through. But let's see what we have to come. There's a lot of exciting players in tennis. So let's see what the future has to bring. Looking bright.
That's great. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you in the next video. Okay. Thank you. And bye.